to give me an answer later. Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela. Now, I just want you to come forward, one or two, to tell me, when you heard these names, what all things have come to your mind immediately? Please feel free. We are in our family, be comfortable. What has come to your mind? When I said Mahatma Gandhi, what has come to your mind immediately?
Freedom fighter.
Freedom fighter.
Father of the nation.
Father of nation.
Father of the nation. Mother Teresa.
Sacrifice.
Pardon?
A saint,
Prize
peace,
for-
saint for peace. Yes, saint.
Yes,
Of others.
Going to
Yes.
saint.
yes. So first their picture came to our mind, right?
Yes.
When I said Mahatma Gandhi, the picture of that half-naked fakir, the British addressed him as half-naked fakir. That picture has come to our mind, right?
Yes.
And emotionally, some feeling is going through our body that he belongs to us, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. And Mother Teresa, being a lady, flew from Albania to India, and she made India as her homeland. Isn't it? So first their pictures are coming to our mind, then the work what they have done. After that, let me ask you one question. Have you all seen them, any of these people?
No.
No. Then how do you know them? How you and me know these people?
By reading their
Reading.
biography and by seeing the
Reading.
pictures.
From the picture.
By reading their biographies and seeing their pictures. It is there, but I will say it is something more than that. We haven't lived with them. We have never seen them. And moreover, these people are no more in this planet now. They lived their legacy and left us. Still, these great people are remembered forever. Isn't it? So how are they remembered? Because they were the leaders who lived the legacy and in which they have shown to the world this is the way a leader should be. A leader can be a leader of a nation, a leader of a society, a leader of a home, a leader of an office, a leader of a classroom. We call them by a different name. According to the work what we are doing, its size or intensity may be vast, large, or small. But it is not the amount of work, it is not the size of the area, it is a type of work that makes the people different. So in one way, we all are leaders in our small capacities. Though we are called as teachers, we are supposed to be leaders, leading and guiding the future generation to be a responsible citizen of tomorrow. Let us go ahead to today's topic. Is the teacher that makes the difference, not the classroom. Do you agree with this topic?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. classroom. You remember Indian old traditional system of education. When we start learning about that, we have started our journey of teaching from the Gurukula style of education. You remember?
Yes.
And those were places of not only imparting knowledge, it was in fact places of teaching the pupils how to live a life fruitfully. Isn't it? So today's points, what all we are going to discuss in today's webinar is being shortlisted here. The first introductory part is over. We will enter into the next topic. What is teaching? What do you mean by a teacher's love? How you and me can be an effective teacher? What we exactly mean by classroom management? Why do kids misbehave? And what is the role of a teacher? And what are the expected standards of an experienced teacher? These are the points we are discussing. Let me enter. It would be better if you mute yourself only when it is required. You can unmute because we all are at a different backgrounds, no? So to avoid that. Okay, thank you. We teachers are called by different names. We are called educators, mentors, instructors, and there is one particular name which we all love, being ladies. At times, no, unknowingly, that word comes from children's mouth, mom. Isn't it? And we being ladies, we feel more attached towards the kids when we hear this term. Why are we called like this? We are the real inspiring rock stars of education. No other profession in this world can claim that. And we are working day and night to enrich the lives of next generation. We create doctors, engineers, lawyers, whatnot, the leaders, the prime ministers, presidents. And we, the team of teachers, have the capacity to influence lives, not inside the classroom alone, even outside. You come across with the stories after so many years, having settled in a highly earned profession, students are looking back to the teachers who have inspired them when they were in the lower section, and they're finding ways and means to reach out to the teachers and to see them one more time in their life. It's happening in India itself. Like that, many stories you would have come across. Isn't it? Let us go ahead. What do you mean by teaching? We all do that job. What is exactly meant by teaching? Is it just imparting a piece of fact or a piece of knowledge from our end to the other end of the children? Is it just that? Yes, 3 plus 4 equal to 7. Children, this way I have to teach. Take 3 in your hand, or left hand, 4 in the other hand, and keep adding is the way. Yes, I have taught, I did my job. Today I did that. And can you and me go home and feel that I'm contented with my work today? What is exactly teaching? It is more than imparting a piece of knowledge. It is inspiring the people, inspiring the young minds, the raw human beings, innocent human beings given into the hands of you and me. We are shaping them through inspiration. You see, we all want motivation, inspiration. When you prepare a special dish today, or I prepare something like that, we would like to get a positive feedback from the one who is having it, maybe from our husband, maybe from our kids, or sometimes we would like to share with our neighbors. So when they say that, oh, it is yummy, delicious, something will happen to us, isn't it? When we hear that, something will happen to us. Yes, I have done a worthwhile job today. So it is our responsibility to inspire change in the young minds. And as I said earlier, learning, see, teaching is, we say that it is from our side, we are doing this, I have taught my lesson, what can I do? These children are not listening, or it is not, they're not understanding it. Actually, learning part is not just the student's job alone. Our involvement in their learning process will make them understand the concept well. And if they understand it, definitely they will be able to apply that knowledge in future. If we teach them 3 plus 4 equal to 7, the main aim of teaching is not just to make them add 3 plus 4, to make them understand the entire concept of addition and to enable them to apply this concept of addition in another large number situation. So teaching is changing lives. How? We are in between chalk and challenges. Chalk means, though we are not using in modern online technology, we are not using chalk, but chalk is a symbol of a teacher, chalk and board, isn't it? So we are in between chalk and challenges around us. See, no other community will be there in this pandemic period who have acquainted with a lot of technology in this 1.5 years of time. To me personally, I have come to know about a lot of technologies. I have been attending a lot of worldwide workshops. I've been collecting a lot of certificates. So when I get that certificates in my hand, that satisfaction I get that. So it is not that, see, if I ask you that, how do you feel in this pandemic? Some will say, oh, I'm stuck up at home. Some will say, how long? Since March 2019, this is, or 20, this is happening. How more it should go. So what will happen? These words, these replies have a negative sound in that. Do you think that it is a positive sound? Instead of saying that I'm stuck at home, if you and me are able to say that, thank God I am safe at home. That is a way of seeing things. So it's our responsibility to mix these positive things. Challenges are there. So we are, through teaching, in fact, going ahead with the right type of mixing of the chalks and challenges. You have understood what I meant. Teaching kids is how to count 1, 2, 3. It is very easy. But teaching them what counts in their life, that matters in teaching. What they are going to face in life. What is their ambition to become in their life? What are their responsibilities towards their own parents, towards their own family, towards the society, towards the nation, towards the world? And when we do all that, we teachers, we do it through a supreme art. And it is nothing but through that art, what we are doing, we are awakening the joy in a creative expression of knowledge. See, when we learn something in a joyful manner, we will never forget. There are two emotions through which, if we approach a thing, we will never forget. One is in the most happiest, joyful manner when we learn it. And another one is we experience it while learning it. This both we will not forget. So teaching is nothing but it is performing that supreme art of awakening joy among the young minds. There is a narrow difference between education and teaching. What do you mean by education? I mean, quite often we come across with the term that education is the key to success. Yes, Of course, it is the key to success. And to make that as a part of the success of their life, we, the teachers, are imprinting the last impact in the lives of the students. We are the one. No matter they become what a high or a high ranking officer in the life, they never forget a teacher who has created an imprint in the mind of that particular child. We are being taught by many teachers in our childhood. Do we remember all the teachers? But there are few teachers who are remembered. Why? Because they had some speciality with them. They have touched your life, your mind. Or at times when you were in need of certain help, they were there to approach. So education is not just allowing the students to take away the homework or to children, tomorrow this you have to do and come back. I'll be checking a notebook and next day we are going and we are checking whether everybody has done. If B has not done, why everybody has done? Why not you? What is your problem? What were you doing? It's not that. It is allowing the children to take away to their home something beyond the homework. And that something is related to the real life situations. And we call it as the 9/10 of education. That means the real essence of education lies in encouragement. It is not in punishment. It is in encouragement. So we might ask that in a class group of 30 or 40, how without controlling them, how do we encourage? How can we inculcate knowledge only by encouragement? See, human brain has a capacity to adapt, to learn, to adjust into those situations when you are getting encouraged and motivated more. Instead of me saying you that, yeah, you all have joined this meeting. It's a wonderful, task from your side, finding time for attending this because you are investing time to learn yourself. Instead of saying that, if one or two of you have entered late, if I say that, oh, that is a distraction, why it is like that and all, is it a word of encouragement? Which one you feel interested? Which words of mine you feel interested? There lies the answer. Now, teachers' love. See, on September 5th, every day, we teachers are lucky to celebrate Teachers' Day. We should be thankful to our former president, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. Isn't it? So he requested the students who approached him to celebrate his birthday in the form of Teachers' Day, not because he was the president, because he was a teacher. There lies the love of the teacher. Basically, the love of a teacher has to be divided into three. We should have the love of learning till our death. We should be a lifelong learner. Love of learning. And the second one, the learners who are coming in front of us of different age group. You might be a kindergarten teacher or a primary teacher, middle teacher, secondary, university, where high level you are going. The love of learners. They are human, we are handling with human beings, unlike any other profession. Suppose in a juice manufacturing company, if they, forget to add certain ingredients, or if they change the composition of the ingredients, it might taste differently, isn't it? So they can go for a second chance to alter it. They can discard that into the waste, and they can go for the correct mixing of the components and manufacture another set of juice packets. But what about teaching? Do we get a second chance to correct, to amend, Suppose if a mistake has taken place in that process. So let us love them. So once we start loving certain thing, the work what we do will be automatically coming up with full of enthusiasm and sincerity, commitment. Everyone will follow that. And the third love of a teacher is bringing these two components together: the love of learning and the love for learners. If we start doing that, we will be able to influence and touch everybody's lives. In this way, we call it as a teacher affects eternity. Our influence never stops. Even after our death, we will be remembered through our children, and those children will transfer this kind of information to the next generation. You think among all these professions in this world, we teachers are the only people who lose sleep over the other people's kids. We are worried about other people's kids than our children at times, isn't it? Now, who is a good teacher? We are you are teacher, I am teacher. We all are teachers. Are we a good teacher? What is the definition of good? We say that a teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. Are we really the candles? We have to think. Now, according to me, good teachers are the ones who are ready to challenge the young minds. It is not just doing the job for the sake of doing it. Challenge the young mind, get involved in their activities, and we have to find pleasure in that. So when we start doing a job with pleasure and happiness, we enjoy it. And at the end, we will be contented with that. A good teacher elevates the young minds. Oh, we'll keep on giving energy. And this energy will shape their character, the ultimate aim. Apart from transferring pieces of facts of information, shaping their character. If that is being able to build, no matter let them become a doctor, engineer, or president, or prime minister, whatever, they will do their best there. So a good teacher inspire hope. It is not that, yeah, this is not going to be work. It is going to work out, children, this way. You try once again, you can do it. And we have to ignite the imagination. If we don't have a dream that I should become this, not all can become Sachin Tendulkar, but you can. We have to ignite that imagination. And like we have to love for learning, it's our responsibility to, as a good teacher, to instill a love of learning. You know, learning is not a pleasure-giving activity for the children. Whereas when they sit in front of that video games, they get the rewards and they get points. So it's a pleasure-giving activity. But if we instill the love of learning through igniting the imagination of what they have to become in future, that I should be this, for that I should learn now, then we are a good teacher. Now, just come up with this. This is a brainstorming activity for you. What, according to you, make you and me an effective teacher? Just one or two. Please unmute and tell me, what do you mean by an effective teacher? You think of many other possibilities, what is coming to your mind. Just give me one sentence. Who is an effective teacher? Anyone? Please come. Please come forward. You can unmute. And what do you think? about an effective teacher, how an effective teacher should be. Yes, Aparna, come on.
Yes, ma'am. I think those who can find herself or himself and can find the emotions of the student. I
Those
think
who,
that person is called an effective teacher.
those who can find and understand the emotions of students. Okay, any other perspective from
They
any
can
other?
find themselves.
Your voice were little breaking. Okay, anyway, any other perspective?
An effective teacher
Hmm.
instills positivity towards life, shows a ray of hope and positivity in their life.
Good, good. Okay, any other answer from anybody's side?
An
You can-
effective teacher should be act as a scaffolder, a good
Scaffolder.
scaffold.
Yes, yes. Okay. Then
An effective teacher is a motivator.
is a moderator. Okay. Then anything more? Okay. Let me go ahead. See all points what you have said. What if we put all this together? There comes the effectiveness of a teacher. It is not just one factor alone. How you and me can be an effective teacher? We are effective when we are able to produce student learning, growth, and achievement. Learning, I taught them 3 + 4 = 7. Learning has taken place. I'm sure that whenever I ask the child whether he knows whether to add 3 + 4, he knows. So I'm happy that learning has taken place. Then what about his growth? It's a continuous process, isn't it? So what is growth? Is the child is showing any progress over the period of time? That is our responsibility, not just making him to, enabling him to add 3 + 4 alone. And what is achievement? At the end, what is it? One particular curriculum we are following. Through this curriculum, a particular topic is included in one particular subject, maybe math, science, or social, English, whatnot. So there is an aim behind including that particular lesson or topic in the curriculum. And there is something called a learning outcome. You are teaching this concept. What is the learning outcome? At the end of teaching this, what are we expecting the child to do? That is the learning outcome. And when we are able to achieve that, then only we can be an effective teacher. And at the same time, then only we can say that the actual learning has been taken place. So the learning process will be complete when we start with the teaching process, learning process, going through the process of growth, and finally achieving the learning outcome. An effective teacher establishes to do that thing, the previous one, to do all these activities, we have to have certain things in our hand. We establishes good control of the classroom. Good control of the classroom. Good control does not mean that we take a stick, hey, sit down there, don't get up from your seat, not like that. It is something different. See, we are being mother, we are also mothers. We have certain control of our family. When the children wake up, when are they doing their homework, serving the lunch or dinner or the breakfast. So there is an order of event. Things are taking place in a controlled manner. We are not taking sticks all the time. So to establish control, it's not necessary to have stick. It should not. We should not have a stick. That is the old, traditional, outdated method. Now get more connected to the child. Get into his emotions, get into his brain, get into his heart. He will give you a place there to reside forever. So to be an effective teacher, an effective teacher, he does things right. He will do only right things. That too how? Not one time, consistently, continuously, keep on doing the right things. The effective teacher affects and touches life. See, when we continuously use the term touches life, it has a meaning. It has a meaning. You are, suppose for example, you are showing a child of yours, a student of yours, that you have to treat the people, those who do not have anything, in a what to say, a pitiable manner. You give them, you be a role model in front of them. You give something in front of them to a person who is in need of something. The child will see that, and tomorrow, after seeing you, after learning that from you, if he imitate that good habits from you, and if he is the reason to give something to someone else on a small or a big scale, there you can say that you and me are able to touch their lives. And it is our responsibility to be, as an effective teacher, to exhibit positive expectations, always positive expectations. Negative things will happen in our life. Negative things are part of life, but we cannot live in that platform of negativism. It is the only expectations about future, the positive expectations about future, that makes us to live our life forward, to take our life forward. Now, in this huge midst of pandemic, many things are happening, especially back home in our homeland. Even in our closest circle, many people have lost their lives. But the only thing, through our daily communication, what we are transferring them is nothing but the hope. The bright future is there. You have to live for your children. This kind of messages there we are giving. Same way, the positive expectations for all students. I underline the term all students. For a teacher, the students, 30, 40 students who are sitting in front of her are equal in her eyes. We don't dig into the deeper side, where he is coming from, what religion is follow, or what is the political background. No, nothing at all. Equal treatment. And an effective teacher will be able to establish good classroom management techniques. There is a particular slide on that. I'll be explaining it over there. We have certain topics to be completed. We have certain lessons to be covered. So we will be, and if you and me are an effective teacher, we'll be able to design it effectively, focusing on the student mastery of it. How to design this particular topic. Within a week, I'm going to do this, and in daily basis, I'm going to so and so do work, getting the children's involvement in that. Finally, my target will be achieved. That is nothing but the mastery of the student on that topic. And an effective teacher will be able to work cooperatively. As we are individuals, but as single individuals, we are nothing. We should be able to learn from colleagues. No matter that the colleague is a junior or senior, to get a piece of knowledge, we don't have to. So there sometimes we are human beings. We come across with some kind of egoism or something. Let us throw it apart. And when we work as a team, the result, the combined result, what is coming out of it, that will be the most beautiful one. Each and everyone get a platform to correct our mistakes before it is getting published. And sometimes when we need help, we seek out for a mentor. And that mentor can be a teacher who has served before us, or it can be a person who is just entered into that. It is not the age, it is not anything else. It is the person's capacity to help you out that matters. And an effective teacher goes to professional meetings to learn. You and me are here in this platform of this meeting, Zoom meeting, to learn, because we believe in enriching our professionalism. We believe in our growth professionally. An effective teacher will have a goal of striving for excellence. What is your main motive to be a teacher? Why are you still continuing here as a teacher? There are a lot of challenges here, lot of troubles, lot of time you have to dedicate, but we are still continuing in this because our goal is nothing but to strive for excellence. We don't see all hardships. We keep all hardships aside. And at the end, an effective teacher will be a lifelong learner. We have to have little amount of money or little amount of time. If it is required, let us spend on it. Suppose a course is there, like this NCDC course, maybe they will be charging a minimal level. I don't know about that. If at all, if they're charging a minimal amount of money for their materials and all, it is an investment on us. We are spending that amount and we are earning knowledge. We are entering into another phase of our professional growth. So let us invest a little bit of money or time, whatever is required for our professional growth, and let us be lifelong learners. Can you read the heading? Is there anything like that? A dangerous educator, a dangerous teacher. Is there anything like that? I'll tell you, there is no particular person who is considered like that, but at times you and me can be like that. How? When we believe that this job is not about human relationships. What? I will do my job, I'll go home and sleep. I will not know what this child is doing, what is his household situation, what trouble they are undergoing, why the child is not scoring good mark, or why is he behaving like this. It's not none of my business. If I feel like that, we can be dangerous. If we believe that this is just a job and after the school is over, my work is done. So I don't even talk about the word school at home. And if a teacher believes that I am good enough for everything, I can handle any situation. I don't need anybody's help. Or if I am not a listener. See, to be a good human being, to be a good leader, we should be first a good listener. So if a person never makes time to just sit and listen, or if I believe that, oh, many people have come and taught these children, never they have changed. Okay, am I going to make a difference if I believe like that? If I don't believe in myself, then that particular, and if we fall into the category of the teaching community, if we fall into the category of educators, then we are dangerous. First, we should have the hope and the positive spirit within ourselves that this is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to get mingled with this group of children. It's about a relationship. It's about listening. It's about cooperating with each other. It's about exchanging the piece of knowledge with each other. It's about making a difference in the life of a human being. Then we can be an effective teacher. I've told you, I'll explain about classroom management. What exactly meant by the term classroom management? It is, in simple language, nothing but to organize 3-4 elements. Organize students, the space where you are. Now we are in an online platform, and the time which is allotted to you, and the materials are there to be presented. How do you organize these things effectively? That is termed as classroom management. There are basically 2 goals of classroom management. Number 1, that is very important, to foster student involvement and cooperation in all activities. One-sided imparting, just like a speaker, one-sided we are teaching certain thing, and at the end with a contented way we are going home by saying that yes, I've done my job. Their involvement, their cooperation in all classroom activities Once we start doing that, I'll tell you, my dear fellow teachers, your work will be easy, because when we get involved in doing certain thing, we learn it. It is like baking a cake. You are getting the recipe, you are just reading it, but you are not confident to make it because you have never made it. But once you get involved, suppose you are teaching a student group to bake a cake, for example, home science classroom. Just let us imagine. I'm just bringing a recipe written like this PowerPoint slide. I'm showing, take so-and-so thing, flour, sugar, ghee, all that, and whatever the procedure I'm explaining, our learning outcome will never be met with that. Instead, if we get the help of the children, ask them to bring a little bit of this from different homes, and we'll bake a cake from there, everyone will get involved in that, then the actual learning will definitely take place. This is just one example I've told you. Like that, we can create situations of our own. We can design the curriculum plan, how it has to be implemented with their involvement and cooperation, because the material, the content is in our hand. There is no particular designed pattern for it. You can teach them to bake a cake with the recipe. Teaching is over. You can even help them to bake the cake and get it done. At the end, make a slice of that and share with everyone. That is also possible. So which one is best? It is depending on the learning outcome, the experience, the involvement. And the classroom, whether it is online platform, Zoom platform, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, or the actual physical classroom, it is our responsibility to make it a productive working environment. It is not coming, taking attendance. Children, write down this from board. Where is your notebook? Have you written it? Okay, I will put tick mark. Yeah, bye-bye. Not like that. Productive working environment, it has a vast meaning. As I said earlier, other than homework, children should be able to take away something home, so that that can be carried forward throughout their life. The characteristics of a well-managed classroom. If we are managing the classroom well, students will be deeply involved with their work. No need of any pressure or punishment and all. They understand that it is for their benefit, so they get involved in that. That means we'll be able to convince them it is for them. That is in the second line. Students know what is expected from them. Accordingly, they'll get involved. With this activity, teacher is expecting me to bake a cake. So let me do that. Let me also learn that. They'll come to that situation. And when we are able to manage the classroom effectively, there won't be any question of wasting of time. Oh, what time the bell ring? Today the bell is not ringing. It's again, still, I finished my topic. So 5 minutes again is left. We look at the wrist. So there won't be any time for wastage of time or confusion. So I finished this today. Now what I should do for the rest of the time? There won't be any time for disruption. And the climate of the classroom will be work-oriented. Everyone is busy with their child is doing his work. I am doing my part. Together as a team, we are doing the work. And that work, how we are doing? Oh, since we have to do, we are doing not like that. In a relaxed, comfortable, pleasant, enjoyable manner. So such kind of classroom, in one single word, ever ready and a task-oriented environment will be there. Ever ready to do anything. Once you have done a task, suppose instantly another one is coming. Yes, we will do. Come on, children, quick. Let us do it. This is the spirit. This will be the characteristics of a well-managed classroom. Now, let me ask you, in every classroom, we all are human beings. We are dealing with human beings, not with some solid rock pieces or some human beings. So definitely behavioral problems will be there. I'll tell you, among the students, basically there are 4 types of, students who cause behavioral problems. It is their, I would like to emphasize, It is not their problem as a human being. It is their problem because of some psychological, behavioral, small issues which they are facing. Some of them are aggressive. We may say that such an hyperactive child I have never seen. He never sits at one place. We say that, isn't it? Such an unruly, always he's hyperactive, like that we say. There are aggressive type of children. And there is another category. They are always resistant. They don't want to do any work. You give them heaps of work. You give them very little work. No. There's another group. And there is a third category, distractible. They're not able to concentrate continuously for a short span of time. Concentration span is very minimum level. Distractible. And there is a last category, dependent for everything. Teacher, can I do this? Teacher, he's troubling me. Dependent. Student who want help for everything. This all, see, there might be the pictures of different students going through your mind, isn't it? But they all are our children. It's not their fault they are like that. There might be some reason behind their such kind of behavior. Once we identify that, and when we are giving a space to accommodate that, we can do that. Look at this. Why do they misbehave? This slide has the answer for it. Why kids misbehave? Forget about kids. Sometimes we also will be emotionally carried forward, having the so-called adult matured people. We are wives, we are mothers, we are sometimes grandmothers and all, but still we behave sometimes depending on our mood. Why do kids misbehave? The first thing is they need attention. Attention from maybe attention from the peer group of children, or maybe attention from adults. You see, sometimes children seriously say something at home, being parents, forget about school and teaching. We ignore our own children. We say, see, can't you go and sit and play there? Can't you do your work? We ignore them. But that small thing, what they have to say, if we pay attention towards that, they'll be the happiest people. Isn't it? We ignore such kind of thing. And there are some, at times, some children, they want control in their hand. This is basically happening with the teenagers, I must say, in the transition period into adolescence. They want to have the control of the home. Sometimes, most of the time, when basically deal with the teenagers, parents have the complaint that they don't listen at home. He will do like this only, always in front of a television. He doesn't do his work. He doesn't even touch the book. And he even, stare at me sometimes. He use some kind of language towards me when I tell him to do this. So they're trying to attain power, the growth age. Now, in that time, how we are able to manage that situation, how we are able to hug them together, make them understand this is the life. Each and everyone will have to play a role. You are the son, I'm the mother, so and so the father. So we have different roles to play, and if we all play this role beautifully, together we can make a family a better one. And there is another group, revenge. They will try to retaliate. He hit me, I will hit him. He hit me once, I will hit him twice. So retaliation, revengeful mentality will be there. Sometimes what happens, some of us will feel so good. We are so happy. So in the classroom atmosphere, you and me are, in a hurry to finish a topic. This child is in the playful mood, or he is still in that mood only. That is another reason. And there is another reason, that fear of failure. When we teach a child to hold the pencil like this, sometimes for the first time when he was not able to hold the pen or pencil properly, at the right time, if he hit on his finger, then he will lose that confidence forever. The next time when you are able to, when you tell the child to start writing, hold your pen or pencil, this way means he will have that fear, whether I fail or not. Then next, getting something, the sensory input. See, we all, I told you we are dealing with human being. The 5 senses of us. Sometimes we are fully concentrating and doing a job, but our subconscious mind will take us to some other thing. As a person, I tell here my husband, when I offer prayer, we are supposed to, when we go to temple or when we go to mosque or church, we stand in front of God and we are fully thinking about God and the God, and it's a conversation between God and us, isn't it? But sometimes what happened, that time we think about the kitchen, whether I have switched off that gas stove or whether I have closed that vessel properly. Such kind of thoughts will come to our mind. So there are certain things which are not fully in our control, our sensory inputs, I can say. So it is depending on which part of the brain is taking control of us at that time. So this is about getting the sensory input. And imitation. There is a group of children who would like to imitate. There was a boy, I'll tell you, still even I remember him now. He is a lawyer back home in India. After having completed his 12th education from here, he went to India, he took a lawyer's degree. Now he's practicing as a good lawyer there. But still I remember him with one word, good morning, children. So when I enter into the classroom, I address him with good morning, children, or good morning, boys. This boy, every day, he used to repeat it back to me. Instead of saying good morning, teacher, whenever he sees me in the corridor, purposely he used to tell me good morning, children. So that was some feeling I was getting. And the child, even still, he remembers me. At times he comes through WhatsApp, he says that, ma'am, these are the things which I do remember now. So imitation, it causes, actually it's a misbehavior, but certain imitations can lead to positive emotions or feeling in the later stage, certain are not. So it's our responsibility to identify the reason behind the misbehavior and to find a solution in a possible manner. What is our role then? To maximize student learning and minimize student misbehavior. We cannot think about a perfect classroom where every human being is behaving in a proper 100% perfect manner. The reason is that we are dealing with human beings who are coming from different backgrounds, having different emotional, psychological phases they are undergoing. So the best possible manner, it's our responsibility that we should be ready to maximize student learning with the expectations of the curriculum by minimizing student misbehavior. Overall, to tell you, it's our responsibility to create a smooth running class. Whatever happens, challenges which we face, chalk and challenges, our journey is between chalk and challenges, I told you. So it's, see how fruitfully we are able to create a smooth class, a running class. There lies our success. There we are a role model. There we are an effective teacher. Now, let us come to the experienced teacher standards. This is worldwide accepted. If you and me are an effective, experienced teacher standards, we will demonstrate professional leadership. At home we are wives, mothers, a sister, daughter, that is different. But when we are in the professional platform, that professional leadership we will demonstrate. The second one, knowledge of content, subject knowledge, there is no compromise for it. Every day, you know that we are living in a world of knowledge explosion. What we have taught in our school or universities are getting outdated. So every day have connection. You think about the doctors who are in the war front of this pandemic situation. If they don't get updated frequently, what are the reasons of this coronavirus? What are the reasons of its variants? Why it is happening differently in different individuals, different patients? Why death rate is this much? Why in certain countries its outbreak is on a large scale? Frequently they have to get connected with the content. Like that, Ours is also, we are also dealing with human lives, human beings. So knowledge, demonstrate knowledge content, high updated knowledge content. We have a curriculum, we have a topic, it's in our hand. If you're experienced, there is no particular that it should be taught, particular way that it should be taught in this way only. Design in according to your own convenience, plan it according to a proper, controllable manner. Only thing is that the achievement part should be maintained. That means learning outcomes should be met. Learning climate. I've told you a lot of things about the learning environment, how a classroom should be. Whatever is the challenges we are facing, the immediate challenges, the short-term challenges or long-term challenges, we can categorize in different way. Whatever is the type of challenges we are facing, it is our responsibility to create an environment and to maintain it throughout, because that environment will enable you to teach properly, to impart the knowledge properly, enable the students to grasp it properly. So that is very important. Implements and manages instruction. We are in a framework of a system. We are bound to follow certain rules and regulations. We are bound to follow certain instructions. These are designed for the successful completion of the curriculum or the syllabus, whatever. So that has to be implemented or managed. These instructions have to be implemented. Today, suppose today a new head has come to you. Till yesterday, you have been acquainted with another head. So a new head, he or she has her level of planning. So it is not that, oh yes, till yesterday we have been doing like this, how she or he is asking me to do like this. No, maybe that planning is different. This planning will be different. So it's our response. An experienced teacher will always try to implement and manage instruction. And the basic, one of the important basic responsibility, after having taught certain thing, how do we assess it? How do we communicate the learning result? That is very important. It can be formal assessment, it can be informal assessment, it can be verbal assessment. There are different ways of assessment. But assessment is important. Then only we will be able to measure whether the learning outcome is met or not. And this assessed result should be communicated for what? For the other end to correct and rectify, to modify as and when if it is required. I've told you that collaboration is very important. Let it be with the colleagues, parents, the society, other students. We are living in a world where a single human being cannot lead life alone. No matter how efficient we are, how rich we are, how capable we are, we have to believe in collaboration, work in collaboration. With our colleagues, it will enhance and enrich our knowledge. With parents, we'll able to get to know more about the relationship, more about the child. With others, society, the nation, you will understand that other than, fulfilling the responsibility of a teacher, I have certain responsibility towards my fellow citizens today. In this pandemic situation, where people are trying to get the mere oxygen. We have millions of bank balance in our account, but now we are struggling for oxygen. If I can be a little help for that, through my words, through my action, through some financial sources, let us do that. Through collaboration, only positive results will come up. And it is our responsibility too. And an experienced teacher engages in professional development. As I have already mentioned earlier, you are in this platform today because you believe that you have to grow professionally. You are, see, at this time you can even watch a movie, but you have found a time to sit in this room, in this Zoom meeting, and so that you can find out that what new things I can learn. So you believe in professional development. These are the qualities of an experienced teacher. These are the experienced teacher standards followed worldwide. We should be able to meet all these standards, combine all these things together, and create a learning environment, impart the knowledge, attain that ultimate aim of learning outcome. Then we are effective, successful, experienced teachers. And what are the qualities of an effective teacher? If you are an effective teacher, and the teacher who makes the difference will be having all these qualities which you see on the screen. Not alone, more than this. I have just listed a few. You will be prepared, ready, positive-minded. One after another one, you can see that. You'll be prepared with your materials, with your lesson plan, with your plan of teaching, with your plan of assessment, with your plan of controlling the classroom. Ready to do any kind of adjustment. It is not that I have designed certain thing, it should take place in this way only. Fine tune, make adjustment, modify if it is required according to the situation. Readiness. Positive mindedness. Let me tell you one thing. You can be the best positive motivator for yourself. Get up, see what happens, we keep alarm, we switch it off, again we'll try for the next bell. Whatever it is, get up in the morning, go and stand in front of the mirror. You will find a beautiful person in front of you in the mirror. Talk to that person. Just hold up your hand, pat on your shoulder. Tell him or her, I can do it. I'm going to make my day today. I'm going to do this task. Let the task be whatever hard. You will be able to do it. That is the spirit of positive mindedness. There is no such positive vibrancy you can get from anywhere else other than your own inner self. Your inner self should tell you that I am going to do it. Hardships are part of life. Let me keep it aside. Let me have a control on it. At the same time, let me take my life forward. Skillful has a deep meaning. In this modern age, I told you we are living in a world of knowledge explosion, communication, and technological revolution. There are a lot of platforms you can use in this online mode, not just Zoom. There are a lot of medias, online medias, technological medias, Google, Microsoft Teams. You can conduct quizzes, you can conduct tests through online platform. You can generate the report cards, you can have an interaction, you can go for bookmaking, you can go for brochure manufacturing, many things. Skills, all these skills we have to be acquainted with it, because we are the one who are leading this younger generation. You are showing as a guidelines in front of them. So we should know what it is first before we go to help them. Get inspired. Competent means A should be competent enough to meet with the requirement of A's classroom. B should be competent enough to meet with her own class requirement. Whatever is the required things in material, in our processing, in our planning, or in our testing method or the controlling manner, that competitiveness, competence, we should have it. Ambition, passionate, enthusiastic. If you are not ambitious about life, I will also die one day. Many people have lived and died. Can we live like that? Be ambitious about life. Be passionate of doing what you are doing, whether you are cooking, whether you are helping your own child, whether you are feeding someone, whether you are teaching, be passionate. And whenever we do certain things, let us do it with enthusiasm. Let us enjoy it and do it. Then tomorrow we'll be able to do it more. Regarding lifelong learner, I have already told you, accommodative. Here lies patience. We are handling different group of children, as I have told you, different children who are reacting in a different way. If we have a room to accommodate all these kind of varieties of children, we are successful. We should be accommodative. For that, we should have patience. If a child is continuously irritating, the first response what comes from a human being is that teach him, discipline, sit there. That's what, but accommodate. Just find out the reason behind and make him understand in a way that he's being considered. Flexible. I told you about rules and regulation, classroom management, our teaching plan, methods, testing plan, everything. There is no hard and fast rule that it should be followed in this way. It should be followed in this way. We can make, modify, alterations and all. I told you the knowledge what we have learned in our 9th standard, 10th standard, all are outdated. Sometimes we have to unlearn things. There is a phrase, unlearning it, because if it is not working out effectively, now unlearn and relearn new things. So learning to unlearn and relearn, that is very much required now. That will take place only we are flexible. Then open-mindedness. This is something we all should have. To see the far-sightedness, to see the things in an open mind, without prejudice. With prejudice, if we approach certain thing, the end result will be connected with that prejudice only. Open-mindedness means let the result be a different way, but after that, I will have a platform to correct the negative areas. So this kind of open-mindedness, the positive outlook with an open-mindedness. Regarding dedication, I don't have to explain much. We are dedicated. That is why we are still continuing. We don't matter the payment, what we are getting. We are only contented about the satisfaction about, that we are getting at the end of doing that job. And selfless. It's not that we are talking. Concluding. Yeah. Yes.
2 hours I schedule. Okay, and interactive session time is there.
Okay. We'll continue. I'm going to conclude, then we will have interactive session. Okay. Okay. So selfless service. Our personal interest should not come in between the professional interest. When it comes there, only conflicts of interest will come. And the compassion towards teaching. Very important thing is fun loving. You might see individuals of different types. Some are very serious. The other day, Shakila ma'am would be knowing that when we were in Riyadh, we had conducted one parenting program for the children, parents. When we asked after the children's program, we kept the children aside and we asked the parents only to enter into the room and we asked them, when was the last time you gave a kiss to your mother? He asked the parents, and some of the parents were looking. Let us be that, see, what is the purpose of life? We are teachers, we are doctors, engineers, that is the only purpose of life. We are sons, daughters, son-in-laws, daughters-in-law, mother, sister, we have different roles to play. So let us be at some time, look at the light-sided life, part of life, that is fun-loving part of life. Same area when you implement in a classroom, you and me can enjoy it. So here I am going to conclude. So see the things in a positive attitude with all these, we all have all these qualities. We all have. Here and there, if you and me find that there are some brushing up is required, let us do it because it is for a good cause only. So at the end, it is the teacher that makes the difference, not the classroom. Once again, let me reiterate that Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela, and many more. These great people, great leaders, though they die, they live forever. Leaders who have made a difference in the lives of people of their time and the times yet to come. Once again, it is the teacher alone that makes the difference, not the classroom.
Wow, wow, wow. Wonderful session.
Thank you, dears. Thank you, everyone.
Wonderful session. Wonderful session.
Thank you. Now let me
Call for a vote of
start sharing. We'll end.